Okay, so we'll start, right? It's 9:30. Okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. The title of the talk was given little different, but this is the essence. Because it is a general diverse audience, I want to talk about entrepreneurship, patents, startups, which is the order of the day. We said, I think, should teachers and students focus towards business models rather than focusing only towards academics. As you know, recently the trend has been more and more to go towards IPR, patents, startups, this type of culture. There was a time several years ago when some of us started our professional career, we used to say, publish or perish. It was only publication which was important. Now it is patent, publish, and prosper. If you look at any of the ranking methods, whether it's QS, Times, NIRF, or when someone comes for NBA and NAC, you are asked questions about patents. How many patents you have? Does the institute have startup culture? Are there any startups by students or faculty members? This culture was not present even among many elite institutions, including IITs, NITs. Now there is a pressure on all faculty members to start this activity. It is not only doing industry collaboration, teaching and research. What is important is you have to be an entrepreneur. As someone said, it is not only the students who graduate, they chase jobs, they look for jobs, but they create jobs. They are job creators, not job seekers. And there are what are called innovation cells within the campus of the college, where the professors, teachers, along with their students or alumni, set up incubation cells, and they try to incubate industries with some ideas. Sometimes we try to file a patent if the idea is good. So we will try to give an overview of this thing. What are the procedures involved? Why it is important? What needs to be done? And what is the concept of a startup? And this is applicable to science, engineering, physics, chemistry, mathematics, agricultural engineering, management science, cutting across disciplines. All academics are keen in that. Am I audible? Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible.
Yeah. Keep giving feedback. Yeah. First, I will talk about why entrepreneurship. If you look at the Indian scenario, 62 crore Indians today are under the age of 25. More than 40 crore of those are under the age of 18. For the next 20 years, India needs at least 1 crore jobs every year. Can our existing employment mechanism that includes corporates, industries, and government schemes fulfill this job demand? Probably not. We cannot create that many jobs. Entrepreneurship not only allows you to take a shot at chasing your dreams, but it also develops your skills if you have some nice ideas. And with every entrepreneurship, there comes a prospect of direct and indirect job creation. You create jobs. That is something important. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, the concept is because you get to become your own boss. Bill Gates said, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. That's what is important. Because entrepreneurship allows you to be a visionary about your passion. Dhirubhai Ambani says, if you don't build your dream, someone else will hire you to build to help them build their dreams, theirs, right? They will use you. And while you will be your company's boss, you will also be your company's sole laborer until you scale your business. There are challenges. Startup, entrepreneurship is not something an easy business. First of all, you have to get funds. It has to do business. There has to be profit. You have to have some minimal number of critical mass number of the staff members who should be paid, salary, infrastructure, building, power, water. There are a lot of aspects to be taken into account. We will see what are the sources of funding, including venture capital. Now, Government of India is encouraging certain things. Albert Einstein says, everybody is a genius, each one of us. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Okay? That is, you should not gaze people by something, a different thing. And this is actually fun. I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and make them right. That is what Ratan Tata, the great person from Tata Sons, says. So always believe in your ability and efforts. These are the important concepts to be kept in mind when you talk about startup, entrepreneurship, and things like that. Because you will enhance your skills 1,000 times. You will even make a number of new skills in the process. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. So we need to be taking risks always in life. I will end with that quote at the end. You will see that's what even Dr. Kalam also said. Because it teaches you the value of money. Always deliver more than expected. That is what the co-founder of Google says. It only takes one bang on idea to make you successful ever. If you do build a great experience, customers tell each other about that. Word of mouth is very powerful. That's why we said the popularity spreads by word of mouth, your success stories. Because nothing is more priceless than getting the first paycheck from the business you created with your bare hands. That is what is the satisfaction in entrepreneurship or startups. You have worked for it, you will get your paycheck. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't. Because being an entrepreneur will allow you to do what you love. When you innovate, you have got to be prepared for everyone telling that you are nuts. That is, the idea has to be really something crazy. That is what Albert Einstein also says. Unless otherwise it looks like something, a crazy idea, there is no success in it. The co-founder of Oracle says that. So when we talk about an employee versus entrepreneur, so for a startup, there are ups and downs, there are problems like this, right? But whereas for corporate life is totally different. There are many people who didn't go to school, but they have become very great. You can start from Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, John Mackey, founder of Whole Foods, Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, David Carr, founder of Tumble. There are many great people like Milton Hershey, founder of Hershey's chocolate, which is a popular brand, many of them. So when we talk about innovation, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. So we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. It needs new type of thought. Innovation is the ability to convert ideas into invoices. Our minds are like parachutes. They work best when open. That is what happens in research, innovation. There should be no constraints, no restrictions. Creativity is thinking up new things. Innovation is doing new things. When we talk about invention, innovation, and discovery, in innovation, it is a better way of doing things or an improvement to an existing product. But in an invention, it is a new product, system, or a process that has never existed before, created by study and experimentation. But when you talk about discovery, is a new increment to knowledge. So there are many examples shown here, starting from Thomas Edison's work. We talked about incandescent lamp, its progression over the years, starting from the basics. But there have been advances over the years in its improvements. Are you able to see the PPT? Is it audible, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because I need some feedback. We don't know about the bandwidth. What is your name, Prahlad? See, there are some copyright items here. You are recording. There will be a problem. Okay. So I think you should stop recording. If you want, I'll select send some PPTs. Okay, there will be a problem. Okay, yes. Stop. I'll send some PPTs. Yes. Recording means audio, video, everything. Audio, there is no problem. Audio, there are some copyright with some symbols, there will be a problem. Okay, you stop, I'll send it. Okay, yeah. Yes. So when you talk about innovations that made life easy, let us see, it starts from the printing press. Knowledge spread quickly. And you have the automobile that it transformed our daily life, culture and all. There is steam engine, there is a light bulb, things of these items you can see what over the years we have witnessed the innovative ideas. Professor Das, I will send some PPTs. There are some with the patented and copyright. So recording, I will send the PPT, something with editing, removing that. Okay. Yeah, even television brought the world into people's homes. Computer, internet. Before the internet, people had expensive long-distance bills when they wanted to talk to friends and family. Now the internet lets you chat, and even face-to-face chat that doesn't cost you a dime. Skype, then we have Google Hangouts, video chats. We have witnessed all that. Let us look at some of the innovators or invention type of works in India. Look at C.V. Raman's work. C.V. Raman received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930 for his work on the scattering of light and for discovery of the effect named after him, Raman effect. But when C.V. Raman talked about this effect, how with change in frequency the scattering happens, and he looked into number of experiments into that. But then at that time, he did not realize its widespread implications. Now, today, you see, Raman effect, Raman spectroscopy, Raman effect is used extensively in non-destructive testing. You can find it in many places. You have different types of imaging, camera systems, number of these things. Its scientific and technical applications are extensive. Look at J.C. Bose's work. Several decades ago, he did an outstanding experiments on millimeter waves, microwave experiments to do an experiment to do gun firing using remotely sending some signal. At that time, he didn't know what is its implication. Today, you talk about 4G, 5G, 6G, hopefully you will have 7G, and your antenna on your the top of a car, all microwave communication, everything is thanks to its basic concepts. So in the scientific research, great ideas, innovative ideas, we don't know what are its implications, applications, much ahead. Homi Bhabha, similarly, he talked about nuclear energy is inevitable option to satisfy India's future energy. He started with something, but its applications now are widespread. In India, we are seeing medicine and a large number of applications. Srinivasan Ramanujan worked in number theory. Even today, many people are not able to understand his derivations, equations, and all that. But they are used in cryptography and security, large number of these applications. Electronic device-based innovations, you see, transistor was invented not in a computer company or a great electronic company. At that time, it was invented in Bell Labs, which was supposed to be working in telephone. Transistor is a key component now in every major electronic devices. You talk about VLSI, ULSI, millions of these things are grown, and we have everything from TVs, cars, computers, cell phones out there. We have the concept of microchip or integrated circuit. That's the same concept. Innovations in wireless technologies. You have what is called Wi-Fi, low power wireless communication used by many electronic devices such as laptops, systems, smartphones, etc. We talked about Bluetooth. Now more connected gadgets than ever. Bluetooth has become an important part. Zigbee, WiMAX for wireless communication. A lot of these ideas have come up over the year. So when you talk about innovation, innovative idea, it springs from many, like from scientists, technologists, mathematicians, engineers. So science, that is the concept of essentially STEM, working together to solve problems based on social needs and wants. Scientists investigate our natural world. They ask fundamental questions. Technologies apply science and maths to design. Engineers create our design world. Mathematicians use numbers and symbols to solve problems. Working together to solve problems based on societal needs and wants, that is what is important. Let's look at a simple product like a pencil. What is so great thing? What is science in that? Discovery of graphite and the fact that rubber and eraser will remove graphite. Technology, creating a writing device that doesn't use ink. That is the technology part. What is engineering? Designing a device with a graphite insert, an exterior holder, and an attached eraser. How do you come up with this product? Aesthetically good, how it looks. What is maths? What is the optimal length, diameter, or shape of the device? It should work out. So, in a simple product like a pencil, a device like a pencil, you have science, technology, engineering, maths, everything. So there are emerging innovations in engineering like electrification, automobile, airplane, water supply, electronics, radio, television, highway, spacecraft, internet, large number of things. Why is technological innovation so important? The famous person, Peter Drucker, says, business has only two basic functions, marketing and innovation. You have to innovate, come up with something new, then do marketing. Innovation provides competitive advantage. Innovation provides a better quality of life. How? As you can see, it is competition driven, it creates jobs, it's market driven, and science primarily advances knowledge, technology is for gainful and useful knowledge, innovation is leadership in useful knowledge. So when you talk about the innovation ecosystem, which was absent probably several years ago in the country, there is a need for developing entrepreneurship among the engineering college students. That is what we are trying to emphasize. This was not emphasized earlier. The NEP documents, National Education Policy, now talks about that startups, innovation cells, then entrepreneurship and all that thing is important. This culture has to be imbibed in students. Somehow or other, we don't teach anything about business ethics. You think that it is a taboo, it is bad, that talking about business, making money. There is nothing wrong in making money in fair manner. Most people do that. In addition to the students exposed to engineering education, they should be equipped with the entrepreneurial skills through promotion of schemes and programs like business incubators. That should be in the campus, business incubators with some seed money provided, where they could set up their innovation cells, startups. The business incubator program should develop young entrepreneurs. This country didn't have this concept. You go to a place like Stanford University, Outside the campus, there are a number of these innovation cells and companies you find. Very recently, only a few years ago, the Indian Institute of Science, which is a premier institute, started the concept of innovation cells closer to the institute or within the institute campus. Now there are few of them. And most of the IITs have. If you have to go to IIT Madras, they have an excellent, outstanding technology part. In fact, some of them have much better infrastructure facility and concepts, better than even IISc. IIT Madras has, IIT Bombay has, even Kharagpur, many of them, they nurture, encourage these concepts in huge areas. Analysis of Indian innovation ecosystem challenges. India doesn't spend enough on R&D. Further, it spends very little on industrial R&D. Current government-supported R&D organizations in India do not adequately serve the industry, particularly rural innovators and small enterprises. Problem-solving capability in Indian industry is lacking because of scarcity of trained R&D providers and managers. We don't have enough of this breed of people. If you talk in industry, you don't have the concept of R&D. Most of the industry, small scale or large scale, whatever it is production, survival for day-to-day activities, and short-term vision. There is no R&D cell which looks at the futuristic trend. Some of them may have, probably for some income tax applications, the benefits. But recently, this concept has started. They're setting up R&D units. Innovation space should be failure tolerant. That is important. When you have innovation, you should keep in mind there will be failures. And you should not get discouraged. You should encourage that. Some efforts like this are not guaranteed to succeed in the first attempt. So one has to be a little bit tolerant to failures and encourage. Few famous patents. There is the telephone, incandescent lamp, microwave, sewing machine, electronic handheld calculator, 3D printing, and all that. As per the trend suggested during the last 5 years, computer technology had something like 19,487 patents, electrical machinery 16,213, accounted for maximum patent application. These two fields have shown substantial growth. So if you look at electrical machine, this pie diagram shows which country has: India, Taiwan, China, and all the things. Similarly, in computer technology, if you find that US leads in computer technology, that is the total number you find 57,000, like large number of them, okay, like 5,78,890. And electrical machines also, they have a huge number. That is almost like 2,61,012 patents. What are the top challenges of the 21st century? Where one can look for patents, startups, entrepreneurship. Make solar energy affordable, provide access to clean water, restore and improve urban infrastructure, advance health informatics, engineer better medicine, secure cyberspace, enhance virtual reality, advance personalized learning, engineer the tools for scientific discovery. Of course, one item which I thought certainly sustainable growth as far as the agriculture and other sectors are concerned, like food security is one of the important problems where agricultural engineering technology can play a role. And we have been talking about some of these things during my visit here. So the world without engineers will be really chaotic. Unless they think of these things, you are going to have a problem. NEP, National Education Policy, is a driver for this. Greater emphasis on commercializing scientific discoveries, particularly in IT. Universities act as the active drivers of innovation, academic entrepreneurship, and the entrepreneurial university. Because the students, teachers, professors should have this in their mindset. They should not think that it is a bad idea to do business. University-industry partnerships have been told. Increase search for radical innovation and top-line growth. Interdisciplinary research, vocational and skill-based training. NEP has emphasized that interdisciplinary research is important. That's where you see in their model, they talk about a university means it is not unitary. You cannot talk about any engineering based university or institution. They're telling all IITs, NITs, technology based institutions, universities have to transform themselves. They should have their campus, other disciplines. So the notion of agricultural university, medical university, technological university should vanish in due course of time. A university means it should house everything: law, economics, philosophy, psychology, the humanities. Then it should have engineering, veterinary, agriculture, management. All disciplines should be there, and people should be talking to each other. NEP talked about that much before this. There was another committee during mid-80s. It was called YESPAL committee, called Rejuvenation of Higher Education. All of us know Professor Yespal, who was the UGC chairman, a popular figure in television who used to teach school children basics of physics, maths, and all these topics, basic science topics. He was a chairman, and luckily I was also a member of that committee. The committee report is on the web. Anybody can download and read it. We also recommended that university means it has to integrate all these aspects. It cannot be devoted or dedicated to a single aspect. There has to be all these disciplines. People should rub shoulders with their counterparts and learn from them. That is where NEP also says that engineers should interact with people in medical discipline, maybe agricultural engineering, law, management, physics, chemistry, maths, even the syllabi courses. We have talked about multiple entry, multiple exit. The curriculum is such that the students should be able to take mathematics, dance, economics as the course combination. It should permit, right? It should encourage the interest of the student. So the interdisciplinary research is something which will be pushed in future too much. And there is emphasis on skill-based training, vocational training. That's where the emphasis will be laid more and more. Probably our industrial training institutions or polytechnics, ITI and polytechnics, most of them are heavily underutilized. For everything, they say you need to have skills, working with hands. Maybe they also will come into the mainstream. When you talk about multiple entry, multiple exit, they will get into the graduate degrees. We talk about in multiple entry, multiple exit in NEP, 1 year certificate. Then you talk about a diploma, different types of, then a routine degree, then an honors degree, and all that stuff. So vocational skill and skill-based interdisciplinary research will act as a catalyst for entrepreneurship, startups, patents, and all that. Startup company. Startup is a company, partnership, or a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. There are many of these examples, what you can see. This became very popular during the dot-com bubble because people thought about alternative concepts. Often a company poised for rapid growth must be able to reach many people, make money from them. A new or small company, a startup, but most are often based on technology. It is a low cost to enter the market, easy to reach many people, high risk, high reward. Okay, we have many of these concepts, startups, and these ideas, entrepreneurships, all sorts of experiments we listen in this country. They have now started. They're mushrooming, starting from your Uber, Ola, Swiggy, Zomato, number of them during pandemic period, many of them came forward. I did also mention in the healthcare context called Tatwan. It was an interesting startup, and you hear about Baiju. Number of these things have been now mushrooming in this country. So it's essentially your idea. Are you sure an idea is really good? Many successful ideas disrupt you to an existing market to create a new market that was not seen before. For example, TiVo disrupts TV markets, creates DVR market. Facebook, Twitter disrupt online social networking. Foursquare creates a location-based check-in ad market. You may need to do market research to validate your idea. You cannot simply jump into this and start something. You should do a market research. Assess, develop business ideas and concepts. What is it? Assess revenue potential. Can it make money? Identify potential for growth. What is the future of this idea? Do you own that? Sometimes the idea what you get might come from different places. You have to be very careful. You might not own your idea if the idea came from a course or a project, if you got it from that. You built it in a group. Group may collectively own it when you are doing a mini project, example, or a project. It uses any university resources like servers, libraries, etc. It uses any university intellectual property. There was university had some IPR, some software, something they had, but you used it and did it. Many startups must acquire IP protection of their ideas. Okay? That is what is important. IP protection through different ways, like patents, trademarks, blah, blah. You talk about that. The government of India has also given some concession to startups when they file patents. Often, close to 100% of the value of a startup is in its IP only. A minimal startup team, who you need a hacker, like a developer who writes most of the code, a hustler, a manager, handles business side, a hipster, a designer. Some teams have a few hackers instead of just one, but ignoring the other categories is perilous. There is a startup timeline. You start from the growth, vision and mission, then you talk about minimum viable product you come up with, product market fit, then you scale it up. Hack out a prototype. You come up with a prototype, spend 2 to 10 weeks max. Investors are much more likely to fund you if you show them some minimal initial version of your idea. There is one source like hackathons. When some universities conduct a 24-hour hackathon where groups build prototypes to win prizes, what happens is investors or other groups watch these events and contact promising groups about turning these ideas into startups. So hackathons sometimes have these advantages because some bright ideas come from these winning entries. Are you with me? Am I audible? The PPT is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. If there is some problem, you should interrupt because I'm just rushing through because we don't have time. I need to close at 10:30. Okay. I will skip some of these things because I plan to talk about many things, patents, patent filing, a lot of issues. We may not have time to cover that. Even if started as a prototype or hack, software engineering principles are important for a project. Many times, most CSC students, IISc students, even from mechanical, civil, from some of these branches also have ideas. They have a startup idea. But you come up with a code or a program or a software which is marketable. But just don't do that in an ad hoc manner, in cut and try manner. You should back create a specification and requirements like you do for any other software engineering project. Go through the same drill. Then set up a vision control repo, code review it, refactor poorly designed code, add unit tests, some system tests, go through testing procedure, daily builds and automated tests, speak to potential users, do good user interface and usability testing, re-examine the code for security, performance, reliability, and all that stuff. The important thing is money. Where do you get money from? You have a bright idea. Do you need funding to build your prototype? Yes. Growing company typically requires money. Can you afford to bleed till your demo hits? Reasons you might need money: you have to pay your employees, like developers, managers, designers. You have to purchase equipment like computers, servers, software, services. You have to pay for licenses to use intellectual property, rent office space. There are many investors, like you have called them, angel investors, is an affluent individual who provides initial capital for a business startup. Amount is generally small, it's like 10 to 30K. Gets company off the ground to prototype to stage, often decided quickly and on a fairly normal proposal. Angels are accredited investors to comply with SEC regulations. In US, many angels are in Silicon Valley. In other sources, Seattle, Austin, Boston, North Carolina, Research Triangle, which is well known for industrial work, industrial park and all. Angels are compensated with ownership equity. When they invest, they are given some ownership equity share in that thing, a percentage of ownership of the company. Because they have invested money in that, they have given you. Implies the company's value, for example, 10K for 5% stock or 200K value, whatever it may be, you can negotiate these things. Convertible debt, options to buy stock in the company later they can buy. There is a VC or venture capital model, financial resources given to early stage companies, given to startups by VC firms. VC firm gets percentage of the profit or the equity, like some stocks, different from the bank loans. Doesn't need to be paid back because they're obviously investing upfront, supporting this activity. So it can be a seed funding, initial minimal funds often given by angels, startups, early funds from VC firm or from marketing development. It can be large investment like $1 to $2 million. That is, company is successful but not profiting. There can be a second round of investment. And VC firm sells stock once company matures, when they get the shares. Getting the VC funding, VC won't fund just anyone. You must convince them, have a means of contacting, meeting a VC firm, pitch your product, convince the firm. You have a good idea, people want it, that we have addressed a problem or need and solve it. It is profitable, it has growth potential. We have assembled a good team to execute. They will say, who is the team? You can beat any potential competitors, because when you talk about startups, the concept comes, who are your competitors? You have legal right to produce the product, like you own the intellectual property. You are open to suggestions, partnership with the VC firm now. So the VC will look at all these aspects. The funding line is, it may come from angels, it may come from your friends, there can be a seed capital, VCs may go, then can be acquisition, mergers, strategic alliances, then you have secondary offerings and you go to the public market. So funding sources, we said friends and family funding, FFF, asking friends to borrow or donate someone. Grants or government funding. Government does that for startup. Bank loans, taking out a standard business loan to be repaid. Public equity, selling stock in the company. Crowdfunding, asking public for donations. Well, there are some effort like Kickstarter. So it is like asking from donations. If public is interested, can get that. There are many stories. An incubator is a program designed to support successful development of startups by providing business resources. Like there are something like Combinator, Techstars, many of them. Business, marketing, and networking advice. Computing resources very like computers, net access, servers, financial advisors, management teams, access to loans and banks, all that stuff. What is the Prof's advantages of working with startups? It is the motivation. Work on something you believe in. Autonomy. It is a smaller team. You get to make decisions. Ownership. You may be given stocks in the company. Compensation, long term. Chance to get rich if the company makes a hit. If it makes a profit, certainly you will be quite rich. Casual workplace atmosphere. It is not like a strict, rigorous IT company type of workplace. It's a small group, maybe a single office room. Many people will be working from their home, setting up from an apartment complex in a very informal manner. These are some of the advantages you find with such a model. What are some of the disadvantages or cons? Compensation short term, somewhat lower pay than at big company. Big IT companies, the typical IT companies, obviously pay you much more. And startups, initially, they may not have business, may not have profit, so the pay packet may not be quite attractive or fine. Fewer perks. Most multinational companies give you free food, okay? You have place for games, toys for children, all those facilities. Such a thing you may not be able to get in a startup. Job security. Company might fail. Then if that happens, obviously, you are left with no option other than searching for something for yourself. Long hours of work. Entire companies face stress and short-term milestones. They have to work long days and weekends to meet them. But as we said, you are the boss, and the satisfaction is there. If the idea is good, something succeeds, you can make it. Startup failures, there are about 75% of them fail. Why? Can't raise enough initial angel or VC funding, wasting too much money at early stages. Company doesn't begin with the best people, doesn't produce something people want, hires too many people too quickly, hires the wrong people or people with the wrong skills, doesn't produce a working product in a timely manner. The idea should be good, workable. It should have some market potential. Not able to successfully monetize the idea, beaten out by a competitor. You have to do survey. Who are the competitors? With whom you are competing? How long they have been there? And what is their track record? For how much they are selling? So there is certain amount of business economics in that. Many universities, like University of Washington, Seattle, has their full-fledged sort of resources in the campus. They have a website. They help to develop ideas, get VC funding, venture capital funding, advisors. They have interns, and they have startup weekend events where coders, hustlers get together, network, develop, pitch ideas, and they have a recruiting fair. They have office hours for that. The university or the institute encourage this type of activity. If you look at the Indian innovation record, Indian ranking in Global Innovation Index has improved from 81 in 2015-16 to 46 in 2021. What was 2046? What was 81 ranking in 15-16? It has gone up to 46 in 2021. In 2021, India paid $8.6 billion and earned $800 million in IPR transactions, intellectual property rights, okay? Like patents, trademarks, and all that thing you talk about. You file some patent, somebody buys those things. So how much you earn and how much you pay to buy it or use an idea. Because if the patent is good and useful, somebody is going to buy that, use it, and pay you money. That's where we talk about people getting rich. In 1981, the expense was $15.1 million and earning was $0.11 million. Earning was because somebody bought our patents, used, okay? There were some patents, so someone used it, from that one gets money. Patents are territorial rights, but Paris Convention and Patent Cooperation Treaty, these enable filing patents in other countries. You can file a patent in some other country. There are methods, provisions where you can file in US and other countries. So the websites give details about that. How, if you want to file a patent in US, what you have to do. There are some acts like WIPO, WIPA, and PO, and all that one can go through. And for Indian filing patent procedure also, one can file and find it on the website. Indian patent system started from an 1856 Act. Several changes figured since 1999. Changes have been made. Startups recognized under Startup India scheme get up to 80% rebate on patent filing. For filing a patent, it costs some money. There are some initial charges. If you do on your own, it is not that much expensive. You can go through the process. But if you go to a patent attorney, because it is a legal document, it has to be written properly in some terms. Of course, technically, there is no big deal. You have to write in such a manner that the reviewer or the patent examiner can review it and tell that it is a workable idea and there is something new. But it has to be written in some legal terms with a structure. So people go to a patent attorney, which becomes expensive. Otherwise, initially, when you start to do, you can go to a patent filing office, do it in a physical mode. You can do it online in about 7,000 to 10,000 rupees. You can do that. If you are doing for an individual patent, it becomes cheaper. But if it is for an organization, corporate, it is expensive. NIPAM. So what the government has done through the startup scheme, they give 80% rebate on patent filing. Because we said startup means it is something with a new idea. You are starting your business system. Obviously, to protect that, you would like to protect your IP, you would like to file a patent. So when you like to file a patent, there is a patent filing charge. So 80% rebate is given for filing the patent for a startup company. Government is encouraging this because they can't afford to do this initially. NIPAM, National IP Awareness Program. There are many programs in India. Skill India, Make in India, and there are other schemes who have been spurring innovation in this country. In the year 2021, 58,502 patents were filed in India against 39,400 patents filed in 2010-2011. You can see the number increasing. Approximately 28,391 patents granted in 2021 against 7,509 in 2010-11. So the number is increasing now. You can see the graph essentially is in the rising trend. More people are filing patents. Even if you look at academic institutions, several years ago, there was no concept of patent filing. And now most of the institutions have an IP cell. There are staff members, legal advisors who are there who tell you how to file a patent, what is the structure, what is the procedure to go through. This has become an important component under sometimes the management faculty has some people who assist in a smaller institutions or college, or the humanities cell have some faculty member or expert to do that, because someone has to know the legal aspects. It depends on the faculty. If you have a law department, they can have some expert like that. If you have a management department, you can have some expertise there. 5.3 lakh patents were granted in China recently, 3.52 lakh in USA, 1.7 lakh in Japan, 1.35 lakh in South Korea. You can see China is upbeat. They're leading. Okay, many patents are filed. India spends 0.7% of its GDP for R&D. USA spends 3%. Israel spends 4.5%. I'm hearing some crosstalk. Is it audible? Are the page slides visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir, it's audible and visible, sir.
Audible and visible, madam?
Dr. Biswajit,
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Dr. Biswajit, please unmute your mic, please.
Okay. Because
Okay.
if you don't mute others' mics, we will be hearing some crosstalk. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So is it okay what we are talking about? Is it something useful and interesting?
Yes, sir. 100%.
Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
As we said, India
Yes,
doesn't
sir.
spend much money on R&D. It spends 0.7% of GDP for R&D. USA spends 3%, Israel spends 4.5%, China spends 2.6% on GDP. If you don't spend much money on GDP, where will you get ideas? Where will the R&D activity lead? Indian government doesn't spend much money. This is being brought to the attention of the government over and over again. But probably they have their own priorities. That is a different issue. Indian patent applications has increased to 40% in 2021 from 20% in 2010-11, with academic institutions filing 2,500 patents during last year. It is not much. The trend is heartening. It's slowly increasing. But if you look at patents in other countries, USA and other countries, academic institutions file large number of patents because this whole culture was absent in universities. We were only publishing papers. In a paper, you complete the work, report the results. In a patent, always you need not complete the work. It is an idea, demonstration. The patent reviewer has to be convinced that it will work. It has to be written in such a language. Sometimes we casually joke and say it has to be written in such a manner that a school child can understand it. But then if you make a prototype, test and see that it works, you have an advantage. Okay? If the patent examiner reviewer wants to check that. Patent granting takes 42 months in India, even a bit more also. Okay, there is an average figure given. It takes quite a long period. USA, China, Japan, and South Korea take about 15 to 20 months. They are much faster. India has 615 patent examiners because they have examined the patent, with USA having 8,132 and China having 13,000. Inventors, patent agents, examiners are important. Inventors will invent fine, but patent agents sometimes facilitate and writing, doing all these things, doing the legwork. Examiners have to examine. These are again some professions which will come up in the distant future. You will need more of these people who can do this work. Research mindset and multidisciplinary skills to be nurtured in schools and colleges. It should go further down, not only technical institutions. I think in schools and colleges also, this concept has to be brought in. NEP advocates such an approach, as you can see. They have put this framework, they say this concept, multidisciplinary research, looking at innovation, novel ideas is something important. India has about 4,000 registered patent agents. USA has 50,000 agents. You see, more the number, merrier, because they facilitate, help you. Number of patent filing per agent is 14 in India. The load is quite a bit. 7 in USA. So we need more patent agents in India. EPO, European Patent Office, attracts talent as patent examiners. In fact, the European Patent Office takes special efforts to recruit and have patent examiners. Create awareness among students about the scope and challenges of multidisciplinary skills. That is what is important. As we have been talking about this in this college and even elsewhere also, I repeat, it is not necessary that a computer scientist should talk about Python or C or C Sharp or Java, skills in that. You should keep talking to an electrical engineer, electronics engineer, mechanical engineer once in a while to know what are the problems, how your skills can be used. Mechanical engineers should talk to a physicist, physicists should talk to a chemist, both of them should, or all of them should talk to a mathematician. That's where new ideas come. Acceptance of big projects, acceptance of papers, getting new ideas and patents are always possible by doing interdisciplinary work. If you stick to your cells, think in terms of your discipline, it's not possible to do really groundbreaking work. That's where everywhere, for every project, now we are talking about societal relevance. And as I repeatedly told you, during COVID, we have witnessed this. It is all because of a marriage between two disciplines of engineering and medicine. Exciting things happened. The doctors depended on engineers. Engineers stood up the challenge in no time, developed ventilators and all that design. Mechanical engineers came into picture. And if this had to be automated, there was a small component of machine learning, AI, decision systems. Electronics was also used and useful. It is an integrated activity. So this is something which needs to be emphasized. Patent. It is an invention that is new and useful. Patents protect intellectual capital for any technological innovation. Businesses use patents as a business tool, not only for maintaining technology leadership, but also for nurturing economic growth. In a rapidly growing industry, intellectual property can make the difference between survival and failure. Okay. So, IP, it is a creation of human mind or an incentive or an innovation. It is the fruits of activity. It is a statutory right given by government to the innovator or the inventor. The present entire regime of intellectual property law is in TRIPS, trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. TRIPS is one of the WTO or World Trade Organization agreement which provides minimum standards in the domestic countries. So when you look at the IP, IPR, these concepts, it has a number of aspects. Once again, I would say we don't have much time to get into details. I will skip some of these things, show you only some key points. Okay, we talked about Thomas Alva Edison's activity, right? IP has different laws. If you look at the Indian Acts, the Copyright Act was brought in during 1957 and has been till full. And the ministry or the department what has been doing is higher education, Patents Act, there is an industrial policy and promotion, Design Act, industrial policy and promotion, there is a Trade Act and all that thing. Intellectual property, when you talk about, you can see in Indian context, there was some controversy. Basmati rice is grown in northern states of India. American company Rice Duck in 1997 filed number of patents, calling it Kasmati, Texmati and all. And there was some controversy there. Haldi is medicinal, it has medicinal qualities with good wound healing qualities. US Patent Office in 95 has granted a patent the use of turmeric in wound healing. Indian traditional knowledge being stolen. Neem is used in Indians for many medical purposes. Again, US company named W.R. Grace in 92 came out with a pesticide emulsion based on neem product. They patented that product and started suing the Indian farms, those who are making use of the emulsion using neem seeds. Particular knowledge exists for several years in India. So there are sometimes these issues which crop up. That's where when you have some interesting idea and work, one tries to file a patent on that. So I will not get into all these things. I think we'll skip some of these because of a lack of time. We need to close at 10:30, right? If you look at prolific innovators, Qualcomm has 349 patents, General Motors 203, Philips 157, LG 143, Samsung a large number. Many of these companies have. Okay. The patent application journey, first you need an idea, step one, present your idea, then draft an application, then file an application. Main steps, filing an application at the patent office, filing of request for examination, publication, examination, pre-grant, grant of patent, and there's a website www.ipindia.nic.in which gives all the details what you look for. And one has to go through a duration like 0 day you file application, about if you see 12 months for complete specification, 18 months for publication, 48 months for examination request, 54 months for first examination, 66 months for typical grant. It's a long drawn process, unfortunately. That's where there are attempts to cut it down. Okay, there are about 8, 9, there are about 10 steps. I will not get into that. Application is filed, examination is done, then the examiner goes through that, then there is either appeal, abandonment, and all that procedure. Patent is granted. We can also talk about what are called trademarks, which are the commercial and the consumer rights. So there are also something of the intellectual property type. You can see there are many trademarks for popular products we come across. Why should we register a trademark? Like you say, Coca-Cola is a famous soft drink. Which one? Duplication or deceptively similar, which the other companies can come up with. It leads to problems. Several of these symbols, what you see, visual marks, there can be audio marks, there can be smell marks. Okay, so trademarks are also important. These have to be protected. There are certain things like geographical indicators. In certain areas, you grow something like many agricultural products, tea, rice, dairy products, wine, spirits, owe their special quality reputation to geographical place. This is what is called geographical indications. In a specific region or area, that is some particular type of rice, you talk about Banyanpalli mangoes of Andhra Pradesh, Tirupati laddus, Darjeeling tea, okay, Kashmir pashmina. There are certain of the products are peculiar to a specific some area. So these are what are called GI, geographical indications. There have also been some disputes around raging around these things which have gone through appellates and all. So when we talk about IP, these are also have to be some patenting one has to keep in mind. Like we talk about some sarees from specific place or rice from specific region. So fabric, silks, and all that stuff. People try to protect these categories, names and all, agarbatis, embroidery. Once one goes through this process, the controversy is avoided. If there are false applications of GI, it is punishable with minimum imprisonment of 6 months. It may be extended to 3 years with a minimum fine of something like 50,000. There is a penalty. This is specific to only certain products. In scientific research, engineering, we are not worried, but when you talk about intellectual property, retaining them in specific regions and cases, we do that. Copyright. The nature of a copyright is something quite important. It is author and ownership of the copyright. There is infringement can lead to some problems. All these issues come under IP protection, copyrights as well. Once you put the idea into a paper, it can be protected by a copyright. Copyright covers library, artistic works such as books, lectures, dramatic, musical works, choreography, cinematography, number of them. That is author's right to patenting that. What is important? Who are the authors? And At times there are controversies. On the left side, you find a poet, on the right side is a college lecturer. And recently there was a controversy that the professor had copied the poem of the author, and then later on she said that yes, I copied. So these get into paper. Some time back at Delhi University, Vice Chancellor was jailed for violation of copyright. So the allegation was that he copied some of the parts of his students' theses. When you publish a paper, as you know, you go through a copyright signature. Many times we get into this problem. Can we submit the same paper in parallel, simultaneously to multiple journals? This gets into one tricky issue problem of copyright violation. Because if it is accepted in multiple places, you have to sign copyright with all the journals, which is illegal. And if you have published a paper, for example, in one conference, you have signed a copyright authorization. If you want to send this identical paper to another journal, if it is accepted, you might have a problem because you will have to sign another copyright form with the second journal. So there may be some controversy and problems. So there are many issues like that. I don't want to talk about this because we don't have time. Like Patent Cooperation Treaty, WIPO, number of issues need to be trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, World Intellectual Property Organization. So important question is when you talk about patentability mounted, the first question comes, is it statutory class? Is it a process? It is a machine, or it is a manufacturing, or it is some composition? Is it some news? What is its utility? Can it be regarded as useful? What is novel? New physical feature, new combination of ideas? Is it unobvious? Does novelty produce any new and unexpected results? This is how typical patent filing that application will look like. It will have inventor's names, assignee, prior references, classification, title, and all that. It has a structure, like what claims you made. That's why I said it is a bit tricky to write that. One takes the help of an agent, a legal person who can draft, but one can do on one's own by looking at earlier patents. You can download them and see. There are different types of patents. Utility patent, most common type granted, works to produce a useful result. For example, making a new chemical or a new business method. Machine, for example, a camera. Article of manufacture, a carpet. Composition of a matter, for example, adhesive. These are all utility angles. Design patent, ornamental appearance of an article manufactured. It is a design. Design and the applied object are inseparable, can also be protected by utility patent, like surface ornamentation of a flat wire. New use inventions, processes, machines, articles of manufacture. What do you mean by that? A new use invention is actually a new and unobvious process. This also can be patented. For example, you find a way out to use your vacuum cleaner as an automated seed planter. You can't patent the hardware for vacuum cleaner because it's already there. It has been done. But you can get a patent for seed planting because it's a new use of the hardware you invented. There are illegal purposes you talk about. Useful is defined only for legal purposes. Some inventions are useful for some but highly illegal for others, so a patent will not be granted. Like disabling burglar alarms, safe cracking, copying currency, defrauding the public. Illegal things can be patented for a legal spin, legal application. Like police radar detectors would qualify as illegal but are patentable if described as a tester to see if a radar is working or a device to remind drivers that they are speeding. For that, it can be patented. Non-operable inventions. Inventions must be operable. They must appear to be operable to the patent examiner. You should be able to test or get convinced. For example, perceptual motion machine, metaphysical energy converter, anti-gravity device. Okay. If a patent examiner questions the operability, you bear the burden of the proof. You will have to demonstrate or show or convince. Has to look like it works in a paper. Nuclear weapons are not patentable. Phenomena like superconductivity, transistor effect are not patentable. The claim description and claims of a practical hardware based on version need to be very useful. If you look at a publication and a patent, it's a scholarly publication. Authorship is somewhat negotiable. But in a patent, it is not negotiable. Inventorship is a matter of law. Who has invented that? Who owns that? In authorship, you can add one more name. I took that help and did that, and all that stuff. So in a paper, must have done the work. In a patent, constructive reduction to practice, you show the concept is paramount. Someone should be convinced that it works. But in a paper, you should have done the work, gives the result. Okay, the effort is paramount to that. So that is what I essentially wanted to tell you. What one can quote from a great person like Dr. Kalam. Don't read success stories always in anything, patents or startups, all these things. You will get only a message. Read failure stories. You will get some ideas to get success. Why people have failed? What are the problems? That is important. In the context of startups, that is very important. As I said in the beginning, you have to be failure tolerant. Okay? Learning something from them, where they have gone wrong or what could have gone wrong, where you can improve, that is more important rather than reading only success stories, getting messages from that. The patent system added the fuel of interest to the fire of genius. That is what Abraham Lincoln said. Okay? So that is really a sort of a deadly competition. Thank you very much. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Are there any quick questions? Comments?
Dear sir, ma'am, and students, if you have any questions, you may.
I'm not able to hear. You are a bit louder.
Yeah, sorry, extremely sorry, sir. Now I am okay with you.
Yes. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, there was a strict time constraint.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
It would have taken much longer. I want to give you a concept of what
Yeah,
these suits
really,
are.
it was a wonderful topic, sir. The need of the hour topic you have delivered, because most of the times we people finding only the academia topic or research topic, but
Who is
as you know-
speaking? Who is speaking at the other end? Whom I am talking?
yeah, this is Brajkishore Mishra from Department
Oh,
of CSE.
Professor Brajkishore Mishra. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, namaste, sir. Fine, sir. With your all blessings.
So, thank you very much that you could
thank-
moderate and be there. So kind and nice of you. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, sir and ma'am and students, if you have any questions in your mind to discuss with Professor Lalit Mohan Patnaik ji, then you may directly talk to him at this moment. Otherwise, you may drop your message in the chat box so that I can forward it to him. Any question, please? Yeah, perhaps I have received some 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah.
Sir, one question we have received from our Berek EU Center, Professor Maiti. Sir, one question is available in the chat. Just I'm reading. Please kindly listen me. Sir,
Yeah.
as most of the Indian university have excessive academic workload, how can they manage to find time for innovation and business research? Please give us some suggestions so that this can improve our education research policy towards academic entrepreneurship. Over to you, sir, please.
Yes. Good question, Professor Maiti. There is an interesting statement many people make. It is the busiest person on earth can find some time to do little bit more work.
Yeah.
He or she can find some time to do some extra productive work. A lazy fellow like me will always have excuse and say that I don't have time. See, it is true that we are loaded with teaching, research, consultancy, all this stuff. What is being talked about is we do research, we think about problems, we do something. But many times we do not protect our rights, our ideas. We just give it free. What is happening in Indian research, if we analyze very seriously, most of our ideas which are published in papers, in journals, in conferences, they probably go to some other country, somebody exploits it, makes a product, we buy back that hardware or software. It is an unfortunate scenario. The algorithm would have originated here. We would have done the work, or done the design, or at least started the work. Someone would have taken that and improved on it and come up with a product. What is being talked about here, as you can see, it is not putting any extra work or research. You are thinking of something new for your research in the laboratory, day-to-day life. What is suggested here is how do you protect it in the form of a patent. And if you talk about a startup and company, it is for your own benefit. You sort of exploit your idea for commercial application. It happens if you go to a North American university. If you see the visiting card of a professor, it will have two sides. One side will say professor in computer science and engineering, a professor in mechanical engineering in XYZ university. Backside of the visiting card will say president or CEO of such and such company. They differentiate that ethically, run this within the university campus. Now this culture has started in all institutions. IISc has it, several IITs have it. You can go and see in IIT Madras, IISc, IIT Bombay, even maybe IIT Gunupur. They have companies. Professors teach in the class, professor to go to laboratories, writes proposals for sponsored projects, run companies and make money. But there are some ethical issues. What you do, suppose you use your students to do some work or PhD work, you cannot straight away take that and copy and implement. The student or students also have to get some credit if there are some co-workers for that. There is a sort of strict ethical lining that we will have to keep in mind.
Yeah, thank you,
See,
sir.
there are Indian universities who have been doing that. I gave you examples. In fact, this model has been borrowed with a extreme care for universities abroad, because the argument was professors is a class or a breed where you compare to IT companies, they're probably not well paid. The salaries are not attractive, but they do intellectual work. How do you augment your income? You cannot do something else illegally and get money. So you are doing some intellectual work, you give it to somebody. One way is industrial consultancy. When you do industrial consultancy, you get money, you spend something. During your routine work, when you are doing, you have your idea, start a company, get some money, you make some profit. There are some issues, how much the institute gets, how much you get, what is the sharing, it can be done. It is not a mandatory and force that every professor has to do. Those who can afford to do should do it. Those who have ideas, patience, interest. And now this has become a sort of a culture in most places. Even engineering colleges have started in a slow manner. You can collaborate and cooperate. 2, 3, 4 colleagues can run something. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Before I will extend my vote of thanks, now I'd like to request our Honorable Registrar, sir, to speak something. Registrar, sir, you're there.
Yes. So good morning, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Oh, you are also online. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he joined with us
I have
from
been, sir.
starting the meeting, sir.
I actually, in fact, I'm a non-technical person. I wanted to just motivate the students to go for this entrepreneurial level. I have been doing also. Your speech has given a lot of limelight to the people those are today present in this session. Definitely, I expect something from the participants to motivate the students more, to just convert them into either startups or entrepreneurship, whatever it is, to support the nation.
Yeah.
So if everyone runs after jobs, who will take care of others? if the students are entrepreneurs, under them they can work 10 to 15 people they can engage, by which what happens, we can reduce the unemployment which we are facing since long, and in turn we can help the nation. So that's what this is right, sir. Your session is almost throughout the session is very much interesting. I have been hearing. So since 1.5 hours, I think from 9:30 onwards, you are continuously non-stop at this age, and the way you are motivating the people, and one should learn from you, sir, more things. And you have traveled all the way from IISc Bangalore and wanted to just support us, and you have been supporting. Thank you very much, sir. We will definitely just take this thing forward to help the younger generation, to help the technocrats and also the managers. This is a common platform where anyone is eligible, any UG student or PG student who can just undergo this entrepreneur concept in their mind. So, of course, teachers are there, those are present today, they are ready to just support them. And we are also there to support them. We can invite people like sir, 1 or 2 people from industry also, we can just arrange some sessions. Of course, this session is almost sufficient to the students and to the people those are present here. They can just motivate the students more in this line. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time and also patience. The way you are 1.5 hours you are just speaking. So, thank you. Namaskar for your patience. Sir, thank you very much. Sir.
Namaskar.
Sir, namaskar.
Thank you very much, Registrar Professor Rao, sir.
Sir.
Thanks for the excellent hospitality which I have been extended during my stay. Thanks to
Sir.
all of you. Okay.
Sir.
In fact, I had a lot of material to have seen. I was skipping because it would have taken much longer. But
Sir.
those are routine stuff you can find out from the website of the patent, www.IP India, what I gave. The steps, procedures to file patents, that you can get it on the website. The objective was, as you told rightly, to enthuse students and faculty members to this concept.
Okay.
We should not worry about research, public. That is important. Nobody says it's not important. But
Sure.
from that publication, there may be some idea which is patentable. You should
Sure.
protect that patent. And maybe you can start a company. See,
Sure.
you students take part in hackathon. In
Sure.
hackathon, some bright ideas come up. As I gave you the example. People
Sure.
watch those hackathons. And these new ideas only sometimes germinate as startup companies.
Sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. It shows, as you mentioned, that you are so lazy, but
Yes.
you are not so lazy. We are so
No,
lazy. That,
no.
so,
Brother, see,
as our registers are rightly pointed out, that at the age of this also, you have taken a around 2-hour session without taking a pause. So it shows how much dedicate towards your passion. So we are very much thankful to you, sir. Have you at GIET University, and we are very much thankful to our founders, because they have rightly given a person to us who are always ready to motivate us in terms of by mentoring, by learning, teaching, by hand-holding. In all aspects, you are always there with us. So we are very much thankful to you on behalf of GIET University authorities and faculty members and staffs and students. We are very much grateful to you, sir. Namaste.
I am honored, Professor Mishra. See, that's why I didn't want to pick up a topic, technical topic like AI, machine learning, blockchain, quantum computing. This you can pick up and read. But it is a diverse audience, students, faculty, different branches. I thought it has to be a topic of general interest.
Common to all.
We should have common to all. We should raise some questions, some controversy, some debate, some issues like that.
Sir.
If you talk about computer science, it's of interest to only one section of the people. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.